Getting this little brace welded in here was pretty easy. Now trying to sort these broken corners out, that's a different story. I was able to get this one beat out at a 90 here and clamped it good with a big heavy piece of steel. I've got this angle here. I made a patch for it, and I've got it welded in pretty good. I tried to sort that tin out down there. It kind of worked, kind of didn't. I can beat this out flat though. But now I gotta figure out some way of patching this hole right here. I can't just weld in it. Maybe I can get a piece of coat hanger up in there and kind of weld that whole area solid. I don't want to get too much in it on the inside, because that's where another brace is going to go. In fact, that's what I'm trying to do right now, is get this flat enough for a brace. Maybe I ought to put a brace on it and weld this hole into the brace. That's probably a better idea. So I'll pull this all off of here and make another brace and see what it looks like. Well, a little corner turned out pretty good. It's strong. I've got a little dent and I couldn't do anything about that because it had lead in it. And I'm not really worried about a little dent right there. It's inside the car, you can't see it. But it looks like I've got enough hole here. I don't know if this is showing you. Maybe you can see light. But I put one more 1/2-inch piece in here, and I should be able to weld this right straight through into the 1/2-inch square bar, and that'll give me plenty of metal to round that off. It looks like I got a 90 going on pretty good there with the edge of it. So far so good. Now I got to make a piece of 1/2 inch to fit this curve. Press on. Well, that took a little doing. Took a long time to get that thing bent right, but I got it to match the tail back there, and I forced this trunk to fit that shape and tacked it in pretty good. I clamped it every inch or so and moved along. I had a weld right in there where that bottom gap is, so I couldn't get it pulled all the way in. But and I need to hammer out part of this edge to make it flat. But as you can see, that's pretty easy to do. Shouldn't be any trouble getting that all straight. It's just tin, but this 1/2-inch bar in here is holding the edge of the trunk, and that's really the only important part. We'll put it in, see what it looks like. I put a couple brackets on it just to keep it from falling down in there. Part of my door striker plates, if you recognize them. Anyway, this corner is still a little chewed up. this gap's pretty good. It's a little big right in the middle there. This one's pretty straight. A little tight right in the middle. And up at the top. Up the top's about the same. So looks like probably this this fender here needs to come out a little bit to the left, but we're doing pretty good across the surface here. Of course, it'll move around, and I'm within tolerances, I'm sure. This side looks pretty straight, so should be fairly straightforward. It's really not easy to bend this piece. It takes a lot of whacking and bending and pulling and straightening, and if it was an even curve, it wouldn't be so bad, but it's pretty sharp right in here, and then it kind of straightens out up in here. I think I got it close enough for government work. I'll have to bend another one now. Clean it up, stick it in here. This gave me enough metal that I was able to do some pretty good welding down in here on this old rusty tin. I can clean that up pretty good, make this all solid, and then bondo that, and you really won't be able to tell there's anything there. The rest of it, I got a couple dents up in here where the bar didn't really fit it right. There's a little too shallow of a bend. Again, same deal. Bondo will fix that, and there may have been some dents in it there. I know I saw some pretty good dents in this trunk. I just don't remember where. It's actually kind of amazing that it survived almost 100 years without getting beat up worse than it is. Well, this is 29 and this is 23, so 96 years, close enough to 100 for me. Anyway, it looks like this trunk's going to work out pretty good. I still haven't figured out how I'm gonna hinge it. I can see daylight up to about right here, and that's about where that drip rail is. So probably this hinge is going to be right here in this area. As soon as it moves, I want it to go down. So probably halfway between them would be a good place for it. I still haven't really looked at the inside of this yet. I remember the drip rail ends and then it comes out to a smaller place, so there might be a way to put a plate in there and maybe a nut and a bolt, instead of trying to make it fancy where I can get it apart. Maybe I'll just make a hinge that stays. And then I've got another door latch. It's awfully big. It came with this mess. And works good. And it would have to go in like that. And that That way there would just be a pin on the trunk that would slam down into there. I'd probably have to cut out my fancy drip rail and do some stuff on that. And that's a awfully big latch for a trunk. I didn't know when I got it that I had a door latch, and at any rate I only got one of them, so it was okay using those bear claw latches that I did use. Who knows, I may just put something simple on there, just you know, kind of like this thing here, just some simple latch that turns and goes into a slot and locks it. We'll see. Anyway, this looks all right. And pull it out again and try to make another brace for it. Well, this side went much easier. Turned out that I had about 1 inch too much of the pipe, so I got a whole nother stick there. That's enough for my window. And I just went for it, bent it. The other one I was taking my time, going slow. And I just went for this one, and it turned out real good, real quick. It probably only maybe took me 30 minutes to bend it. And matched it up, put it in, and welded in real straight. It was easy to clamp. Of course, this side wasn't chewed up and bent like this one, so that made it easier. So I guess I can throw it up in there and see what it looks like. I was looking here at this corner. I do have a bolt hole right there on both sides, and there's one up here. I have a feeling that that was a hinge bracket. I really don't know, but that would kind of answer why the drip rail quit there. Of course, I welded a top hole up, but that's, I can bore another one. Right where that bottom hole is where I think I want my hinge. I'll have to sit down and do a little planning. I might clamp me a plate on there or something and put a bolt through it, measure it, see what it's going to take to get this into this trunk, where it's going to be. Looks like you heard me talking about it. Looks like it's about 1 inch off of the bottom, so it looks like that bolt might go right there. Well, I'll just have to move it up so I'm not taking it into my 1/2 inch bar. Yeah, it looks pretty good now. Yeah, like everything, that side don't look as good as this one. Of course, I had a better side to work with. I'll have to put something in that. Take them ugly screws out of there and see what I can do about that. And I'll have to finish these rails up. You can see that one there's kind of bent up. Looked like it just was nailed onto a piece of wood, which was probably plenty strong enough. Piece across the top, piece across the bottom, and this one here was holding the hinge. Don't need those central braces. There's that dent that I saw right there. I'll kind of knock that out while I'm looking at it. Well, since my trunk was coming along so well, and knowing that once I put a hinge in it, it's going to be kind of hard to get back in here. I just finished up my brakes a couple days ago. I chewed this line up. I was able to cut it off, and this is a cheap Chinese flaring tool, but I managed to get a flare on it I think will work. There's my brake hose. It was easy for me to make a line for the new wheel cylinder. That line's all blown out and everything. I got a hose here, and I'm going to mount it up here on the around in here somewhere. Weld a washer and put in there. So I laid out some brake line here. I'm going to just go ahead and run that up the frame and plumb it into the master cylinder. I basically just have one fitting here and one fitting up front. So this should be a pretty straightforward deal. In a few more minutes here, I should have rear brakes. We'll see. Well, this is all done. I put me a bracket in here to hold my brake line. I got the brake line run up here to the front. Got it plumbed into my valve down there. It's just hanging there for now. I'll get some little pieces of sheet metal, make some clips for them. But the brake is solid. I didn't really even have to bleed it too much. Solid as a rock. The drums are released. Wheels turn real good. It needs to be driven and then adjusted, but the self adjusters are correct in it, so that's part of the project. Kind of important. It'll definitely stop now, even without the front. So got it stopping. Won't go, but it'll sure stop. And then I've got a few more parts coming for this front. And I'll put these calipers on it, bolt them up, run the two front lines, and it should be good for brakes. So it's in and solid as a rock and no leaks so far. I'll let it set, look at it tomorrow, see if I see any stuff, but I pretty much made all my lines go uphill to either the master cylinder here in front, and the back ones I didn't really have to bleed it. I had the close one over here closed and that one open, and I just pumped it until it looked like it was pumping good. Went back there, I probably pumped a half a cup out on the ground. Figured that probably got all the air out of it. Closed that one off and just cracked the driver's side. Sit there and watched it for a while. Didn't even pump it. After a while, some bubbles started coming out, and then the bubbles quit. I shut it off. Went up there and pressed on it, solid as a rock. So, pretty good lick for the day. My trunk's gonna work out good. I crawled under it there. It's one of the reasons I went to working on the brakes, is because it looks like it's going to be a pretty simple matter to make a hinge in there. And you know, once I make a hinge, then I got to also make some way of holding it open. So I figured I'd just do all of this stuff back here that needs to be done before I put the trunk on it. I think probably what I'll do now is, as much as I hate to cut up that old rusty metal, I think I'm gonna at least box this frame, all this back part, and I don't want to be trying to work around the trunk. So, you know, a couple hours, or not even that, an hour maybe, of working with some little sheet metal clips, and these brakes will be fine. I'm going to box this frame, and I ordered a new drive line coming out of a Dodge van. It ought to be here in a couple days. I don't know what this rear U-joint is going to do, but from the pictures it looked like it's approximately the same size. Hopefully the U-joints will fit into that drive line. If not, I can find, you know, Fords are pretty plentiful, and I can get this drive line put in and measured and welded up. Basically, at that point, I gotta pull this transmission out of there and pull the pan off, clean it up, go through see why it's not shifting out of park. That's either in that tailpiece or the rod that goes up in there. It's probably just rusted. But I'll have my transmission dance. You know, I got this one guy that's said he would rebuild it for some work on another old car he had. We'll see. I'm going to pull it out and yank off the pan and see what I can do first. If it looks like I can't figure it out, well, I'll take it to him. I kind of hate to get off of my projects and start working on somebody else's. So, really, if that transmission was good, you know, I'm probably a week away from driving this, really. The motor, I just have to put in, just wire it, hook up a radiator, and steering is, you know, a few joints away from working. Actually, this thing could be easily running and driving by the end of the month. I want to get on this Dodge over here, get it finished up. Hopefully I can get it up for sale before Hot August Nights. It's just some Bondo work, and I got to put that windshield in it. It's all basically done, and not really a lot left on that one. I'm not going to bother trying to put glass in it. Somebody else can figure that out. Anyway, hopefully I'll have this out of here by the end of the month, so anybody that wants to buy a 36 Dodge with a 350 in it, one right there. Alright guys, that'll do it for today. Likes and subscribe, and we'll try to get this thing running here pretty soon.